Okay, this is a quick and dirty description, like a commentator walkthrough about how to do the over the door, like kind of hover strat that I use to get the tombstones. It really matters the speed you're going. I would really never recommend doing a side flip. If you like only get one in and you want to get some more speed, after this point, it's really hard to side flip and then actually hover over with enough time unless you double tap like crazy, because you'll be going really fast. So I usually like to get my last side flip right at the start of that hallway if I can afford it. And then that gives you just enough time. You can do it the other way, but you'll probably end up having to double tap like crazy. And it could drop because the door lags the room. So I don't know, I play it safe. I don't really want to be full speed when I hit the wall. Or when I start the hover, so I get it around there, and then you're gonna more or less go straight. You don't really want to angle it too much because you want to actually end up going like over the door itself, and that way the camera goes through the door and then forces the camera into a much more comfortable position. Because if you actually hover like over the corner, the camera will like freak out. And it looks really weird, and sometimes it can like really ruin the hover. Let me show you. So like if you were to hover like this, go over the wall, sometimes when it passes through the wall, it like turns around and does like that, and it'll get stuck everywhere, which I really don't like, because it just makes the whole trick more complicated, because like you can't really predict it and you have to adapt. And instead of having to adapt, if you just do something like, you know, go a lot more straight and slightly angled to the right side of that lamp, then you can do this, and then the camera will actually pass through the door and then immediately turn the way you, it's always going to do that. It's going to swing around to the left side of you and stop like right here, facing this way, and that's like perfect. But you really got to make sure that you kind of like angle it the way I did it, because so basically aiming for like the right side of that lamp. And then for when to let go, one of the harder parts is like falling kind of blind because you can't see jack. It's kind of a feeling, but for the most part it's like he's gonna pass through the wall, and then I'm gonna wait like a half second and then drop and then tilt my stick back. And then also tilt the camera to the left, so I'm like, my fingers look like this. Like if you look at my fingers, just kind of down, and I actually kind of angle a little down to the right because he's over here. And if you just fall straight, he'll probably land back into the door. So if you do this, he's gonna fall straight down, and then also to the left or to the right, and then miss falling back in bounds. Depending on your hover, you don't have to move too far to the right, but most of the time, I think if you don't move him away from the door, he'll land back in bounds. Like this one is really in the middle, so you really want to go high and then really tilt him to the side so that you make sure he falls out of bounds instead of back straight down. So you really got to tilt it that way. But yeah, and then the trick to like not falling, like if you wait too long, and the issue. Hello. Whatever. So the issue with waiting too long is that you won't have enough, you'll be too far from the strip of land, because the strip of land that you can stand on is really thin. So if you do this, and you go out like really far, and you try to fall, you'll miss. So you don't have to wait that long. My biggest mistake before was I'd want to play it safe, and I would immediately start falling back down after I passed the wall, and that wouldn't be enough sometimes. So it's like there's kind of like a sweet spot. Like you wait like a half second, and then you fall. Because look how thin this is. I'm gonna walk out to show you. It's like that. You have like a really small. So that part is probably gonna be the toughest thing at first, is getting yourself to land on that strip consistently. Eventually you get like total muscle memory for it, and then you can kind of improvise depending on where you go over the door. You'll know like what to do. So like in this context, yeah, wait like a half second and then drop, and then You can even spin. Like you saw, I was actually really far out there. It was like right here where I landed, and that's pretty far. You can do a spin to give you a little extra, and probably like 70% of the time, I do a spin because I want to play it safe, and a spin really gives you more control, and it's not that much slower. So you'll probably end up spinning a lot because, like I certainly do, because it makes the whole trick. If I know I'm gonna land in the perfect spot, I won't spin, but. And then the second part, like that one I didn't have to spin because I saw where I was falling and I knew it was safe. So the second part, I usually dismount. I don't punch board because you can't really, and it's just kind of weird, makes it harder to control. I do 2 flips and then I move to the left. The angle is pretty free. You can really hover anywhere from like a big angle and still make it into the room. You don't have to do 2 side flips. I started with 1 side flip because that way I can just do this and then jump. And then if you do 2 side flips, sometimes I would like accidentally shoot them to the sides and either go back in bounds or fall off. But then when you get better at making them go in a straight line, you can control it and do 2 like this. And then aim it to the side. You want to like stick the camera to the wall a little bit, because if you were to hover just immediately off to the side, the camera like wouldn't really load the room. So it's good to kind of. The reason I do the first side flip is because you want to go about 10 feet away with the camera along the wall, so it like kind of does like it loads the room. But yeah, that's more or less how that works.